The summer incarceration season of former government officials has begun. Rosukrenergo's guest locked former head of State Customs Service Anatoly Makarenko. He celebrated his professional holiday, Customs Day, in jail on the order of the Pechersk court. For 2 months for now, while the investigation goes on, the former chief customs officer of the country is accused of negligence during last year's clearance of Rosukrenergo's scandalous 11 billion cubic meters.
Quite frankly, I'm not sure why I was arrested yesterday. I believe that the truth will prevail. If a state has special services that defend the interests of financial and industrial groups instead of national security, it will have a very hard time.
Makarenko's incarceration prompted the opposition to accuse the authorities of political persecution. This is the first time when officers who have served Ukraine and its national interest are thrown behind bars instead of criminals. The ex-premier showed documents in support of his innocence. Last year, Ukraine paid $1.7 billion to Russia to claim $1.7 billion from Gazprom's subsidiary intermediary company, Rosukrenergo. Simply put, Gazprom sold Naftogaz the right to claim RUE's debt to Gazprom.
Rosukrenergo did not pay Gazprom. Gazprom offered Naftogaz to buy the gas.
The debt had to be paid with money or gas at $154 per 100 cubic meters, i.e. a total of 11 billion cubic meters. This is the amount of gas RUE kept stored in Ukraine. Tymoshenko, using the claim contract, gave customs the order to clear Rosukrenergo's gas and transfer it to the balance of Naftogaz. The SBU opened a criminal case.
Under the customs code, any changes in status are possible only with the consent of the owner and the decision of the customs authority. Otherwise, it's a crime.
The then first deputy head of the SBU, Khoroshkovsky, zealously defended RUE's gas and even authorized the scandalous use of a SWAT team in the offices of Naftogaz. Former Secret Service head Nalivaychenko confirms that the customs did break the law.
As head of SBU, I signed a document in advance to prevent this crime and sent it to the government and energy customs. I warned them, signed the document and asked them not to clear the gas, which was controversial in terms of ownership and in terms of the customs' ability to lawfully clear the gas.
Last year, 2 people were accused of meddling with RUE's gas. Deputy chairman of Naftogaz Igor Didenko, his signature is on the claim contract, and energy customs employee Taras Shepitko. His signature is on the protocol clearing RUE's gas for the state. Then they managed to defend themselves from accusations. Here are the rulings. The co-owner of RUE, Firtash, filed a suit in the Stockholm arbitration and waited for better political times. They came with a new president. Valery Khoroshkovsky was appointed head of SBU, and Firtash's other business partners key positions in the energy sector. Naftogaz's defense in Stockholm changed, in fact disappeared altogether. The case was neglected by lawyers from Naftogaz, which is headed by Yevhen Bakulin, a protege of Yuri Boyko, who is a political lobbyist for Firtash. Despite decent prospects, the case was lost. Ukraine did not defend itself, so the Stockholm court had no choice but to award Rosukrenergo victory. When there is no defense, it is clear Ukraine's positions have been surrendered. The verdict is as follows. Ukraine is to return to Rosukrenergo 11 billion cubic meters and 1 more billion as compensation. The government called it a direct loss to the state and immediately began a witch hunt. If you need to return the gas, you should find someone to blame from the previous government.
Unfortunately, we're under the impression that we'll have to repay this debt.
Again, Valery Khoroshkovsky, now head of the SBU, launches the same criminal case as a year ago.
All persons who are in any way involved in this case will be questioned, notwithstanding their previous positions in government or other bodies, because in reality, the state has suffered significant losses.
Ihor Didenko faces charges again, like last year. ! Managed to talk to him on the phone.
I won't answer any questions.
Nevertheless, Didenko is confident that he is right.
Naftogaz's management didn't do anything wrong, and the truth is on our side. I wish you luck.
This time, in his defense, Didenko reminded the investigators that a similar case has been dismissed by the court and therefore cannot be launched again. The answer was a cold shower. A year ago, they talked about embezzlement, and now it was about misappropriation. Another fact, another case. Even though it's the same article in the criminal code, Energy Minister Boyko spoke to explain the misappropriation version.
Law enforcement agencies will find out what happened to the 11 billion cubic meters. Most of the gas was sold through intermediaries, and they're probing the people behind those companies. Society will see the real picture of how the Tymoshenko government dealt with the 11 billion cubic meters of gas. Gas cannot just disappear. In Ukraine, there's very strict control over gas use, and all gas was pumped into Ukrainian storage facilities. And of course, used for Ukrainian consumers.
By throwing former officials behind bars, the government plans to persuade society it's time to return the gas to the offended Firtash. However, no one, not a single minister or any other officials, has said a word about the main and most important thing. Ukraine had paid Russia for the gas, and Russia had every right to dispose of RUE's property.
It's nonsense to pay for gas twice.
Viktor Pintzenek, former finance minister in Tymoshenko's government, voluntarily resigned after the gas war last year. He insists the Stockholm court decided that the clearance procedure was implemented illegally because Tymoshenko took the gas bypassing procedures. She should have brought the agreement with Gazprom into a Ukrainian court, and the executive office would have forced RUE to pay Ukraine its debt.
I have no questions concerning the economic side of things. The gas was paid for, but legally it was owned by Rosukrenergo. No one can take it away. There must be a court ruling.
However, it's not too late to enforce the claim contract.
Naftogaz has to go to court and demand money. If there's no money, there's gas.
So even if Firtash had won in Stockholm, if Ukraine returns the disputed gas, the contract for the sale of RUE's debt from Gazprom to Ukraine will remain unfulfilled. This is the reason to go to court and demand that RUE give Naftogaz money or gas.
There would be no such ruling if all procedures had been observed, but we have to observe them now to prevent our pockets from being emptied.
But none of Firtash's political partners say a word about the fact that after returning him gas, Ukraine can sue to enforce the contract and take from the businessman the gas bought legally from Russia. The head of the SBU, Khoroshkovsky, keeps silent too. He has a special mission – to find those responsible and jail them. And all this despite the fact that the head of the SBU has an evident conflict of interest. The owner of Inter is interested in improving the financial situation of his business partner Firtash.
If Inter will be sold, and Khoroshkovsky has already said that it is for sale, then the first person with the right to buy is Firtash.
Indeed, the essence of the partnership between these people is that Firtash has an option for the purchase of Inter TV station. An option is the primary right of purchase at a fixed price within a clearly specified time. At the household level, it looks like this. A person chooses a product at the store and asks to keep it ready, to then come back with the money. I say that tomorrow I will come back and buy this skirt. My option means a priority right of purchase.
This means that if Khoroshkovsky wants to sell, then Firtash is the first person who has the right to buy. And he can't sell to anyone except Firtash, if Firtash doesn't give up that right.
In an interview to Ukrainska Pravda, Khoroshkovsky confirmed that he prolonged Firtash's option by mid-2011. This means that the former is interested in selling and the latter is interested in buying. But at what price? That depends on how much Rosukrenergo appreciates SBU's efforts in claiming debts from the state. At this point, Firtash's fortune does not allow him to acquire Khoroshkovsky's media group. In a fresh ranking, they have a $500 million gap between them.
The Interstation is priceless. It is the most powerful tool of political influence.
SBU head and owner of Inter, Khoroshkovsky, admitted that such ancillary employment produces a conflict of interests and announced his readiness to sell the station. And because under the option he can sell only to Firtash, Khoroshkovsky is interested in getting as much as possible. By doing everything to return the gas to the co-owner of RUE, Khoroshkovsky will automatically make him a profit. Firtash will become one of the top 5 richest people in Ukraine. Obviously, the head of the SBU is hoping for a generous corrupt reward in the form of an option for half of his media empire.